Yes. When the humans arrived in the coalition, they brought themselves, and their ships, and their weapons. Those were all very impressive. They showed up with positively gigantic starships, easily 2 to 4 times larger than anyone else. When asked, the humans just looked at them, then back to us and said, "Why not make them big? Don't they look great?" We could think of a few reasons, but they didn't seem to care about those. But that's not what I want to talk about. Do you know what was the most amazing, galaxy-changing paradigm they brought with them? Containerization. I'm serious. The first time I saw them field a colony ship, my feathers ruffled, and I turned my head in confusion. I was aboard the human ambassador's yacht, with a few other coalition administrators. We had come at the humans' behest so they could demonstrate that they were taking our rules about colonizing seriously. Honestly, we probably wouldn't have cared. All they were interested in were planets Class F and lower, the ones with multiple biomes, the ones with heavy gravity, the ones with weather. We let them license the worlds for colonization cheap. Ancestors? I think we even let them have the one with storms for free. Anyway, they asked us to come and observe, and so we sent a few people out, me among them. I was a mid-level clerk for the Inari embassy at the main coalition station, so I was volunteered to attend. It was boring, but it wasn't bad. Good food, a break from paperwork, and a chance to take it easy for a week. On the second day, the colony ship arrived. It had flashed in, quote, close to the planet, entered orbit, and had spent an hour setting itself up. One of the Cephagans looked at the human who was guiding us and asked what we were looking at, if we were just going to see a shuttle go back and forth for a week from the ship. A shuttle? Heavens no, just watch. And he did that cryptic smile without showing his teeth that they do when they realize they're about to show off. Just then, while we were watching, the colony ship flew apart. It wasn't destroyed, or rather it was, but it wasn't destructive. It had turned out that the entire colony ship was thousands upon thousands of boxes. The assembled crowd made surprised noises as the ship quickly disappeared into rectangles, all the same shape and size. They disconnected from each other and fell through the atmosphere to the planet's surface. Within 1/10 of a cycle, they were all down and had begun unfolding. Some were buildings, some contained supplies, and some even had vehicles. As we watched through remote cameras, an entire city had sprung into being, where once there was only a joining of 2 rivers. The colony ship was completely gone. The box that was the command module had set itself up in the center of the city, and we watched as the overlay changed from ship command to city command as it touched down. Before our surprise could be properly registered, it happened again. Another colony ship flashed in and flew apart and landed, and again, and again. In the space of 1 solar day, 3 full cities were set up, and automated construction vehicles, also the size of the containers, had begun trundling between the cities, setting up utilities and roads. By the time the humans arrived in 30 solar days, there would be places to live, work, and entertain for 50,000 beings. Honestly, if that's all they used it for, it would be impressive. But they made everything able to fit into those boxes. When they ordered supplies from human manufactories, they ordered them by the container. During the next resupply, one of the containers would detach and be delivered, and sure enough, packed floor to ceiling would be the widgets they ordered. They built reactors that fit the container, so that no matter where they went or what they were doing, it was simple to have more power than one needed. They even built weapons that fit into the containers. I'm not talking about hand and small arms, but full anti-starship missile batteries. They would take one of their boxes, stick it to the side of a ship or a station. It didn't even have to be human-made. and out would fold a missile battery, loaded and ready. Next to it, they'd plop a reactor container and a matter printer container, and in the time it took you to decide what to eat for their midday meal, lunch, they would be able to defend against an attack of nearly any kind. When called on to aid during disasters, they brought them too. They would bring a modified version of their colony package, tuned for what kind of disaster had happened. Extra hospitals, extra living space, extra power. It didn't matter, because it all fit into those damned boxes. The other coalition peoples had to adopt the humans' containers. It was too foolish not to. Human ships would only haul containers. They didn't list the ship's capacity by hauling weight. They listed them by the number of containers they could haul. If you wanted to sell to humans, you had to fit your wares into a container. Some other peoples, the Cephigans specifically, but a few others as well, attempted to introduce their own container specifications, but they were almost never adopted. The humans had the infrastructure to haul their own containers, and unless the others fit into the system, they just rejected them outright. Too complex to add, they said. Just use ours. Here, have a few for free. They gave away containers like they were atmosphere. When items were shipped from human manufactories, they told the recipient to just keep the container in case you need to ship anything else. Before too long, all the coalition was using human containers. The Cephigans complained that they were too large. The Gren complained they were too small, and we Inasi looked at the containers with an eye towards economy. We felt they were far overbuilt. We tried to make our own, out of much lighter materials, but whenever they were added to a human system, they would be immediately ejected, usually with large dents or bends in them. Stick to the specs, they'd say. Our system requires them all to be the same. Without firing a shot, the humans took over one of the most important and overlooked parts of our entire system. Everyone uses their containers now. It's just impossible to find a shipper to move material without them.